Hello, my name is Ben Townsend with Tracker Products. I want to thank you for joining us for our presentation on the Safe mobile application. The presentation you're about to see is a recording of a webinar that we did with about 150 attendees. So in a moment when we get started, there's going to be a bit of a hard start in that we're jumping right into the beginning content of the webinar that we produced. There's going to be a lot of questions that we received from the participants. You'll hear the questions, you'll hear the answers. You'll even hear a little bit of chatter from some of the people that are online that are watching. So it's not a normal presentation that we would do where it's a very polished presentation, but we want to give you a chance to see exactly what we presented and how that looked to the audience that was watching. Thank you. So now that I'm on this screen and my thumbprint or Face ID is saved, I'm going to click the little thumbprint icon in the password box right there. It will automatically enable my Face ID and log me in. Okay, so when we log in, as I was mentioning a moment ago, the main thing is the swiping from left to right. The swipe from left to right is going to enable your menu bar on the left, or you can click the little triple icon up at the top of the screen and that will do the same thing. I would just get in the habit of swiping from left to right. That's a common functionality in many apps, and that's how you're going to access the menu of all of these different options. But your very first default option is what we call the barcode scanner screen. The reason we default to this right now is because the majority of you, when you log in, performing transactions is going to be the most common functionality that you use. We have many updates that are coming out. One of the next updates that we're working on is actually getting it to default to whatever the last screen was that you used when you logged in last time. Okay, so for right now, you're on the barcode scanner screen, and I want to cover a little bit about what this does. All right, so down at the very, and you can see there's nothing really on the page right now because you need to start scanning items. So let's assume that a very common transaction you do is checking items in, checking them out, moving them around the evidence room, or doing dispositions. So in order to start scanning some barcodes, in the very bottom right-hand corner, there's a little picture of a camera. And when you click on that, it's going to enable the actual camera on your phone. And so you'll notice here, this is my desk that I'm displaying right now. And so I've got some packages on my screen here that are from the Safe Evidence Management Room. And so and you'll notice in the middle of my screen, the green box with the red line, when you move that over a barcode, and once it picks it up, now you didn't hear a beep because I'm connected to my computer, but it will give you an audible tone to let you know it did scan. If you don't get the audible tone, you may have noticed the red checkbox on my screen. Watch that green checkbox again. When I pick a different item, watch how it goes red. Okay? And that means right there, the minute it goes red, it took a good scan. All right. So now at this point, I'm going to click done down at the bottom of my screen, and it's going to bring those two items up that I just scanned. It's going to let me know, first of all, were there any invalid barcode scan? Were there any problems with the scanning process? I click OK. Those are the two items that I just scanned. All right. So at this point, we are now ready to do a transaction on these items. Now they're already selected. You'll notice if I click on any one of them, it will unselect them, or I can go up to the top of the screen and click the double check box, and it's going to highlight everything on the screen. So let's say you're checking 10 items out. And by the way, they will be colored properly. In fact, I don't have any items that are checked out already, but in a minute when we come back to this screen, you'll notice it'll display in yellow and red. If you somehow scan a disposed item, you'll know it's disposed of because it'll be red on the screen. And if it's checked out, you'll notice because it is in yellow. So at this point in time, I've simply selected two items that are indeed checked into my evidence room. I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to click the lightning bolt icon down at the bottom of the screen, and it's going to pop up and say, what do you want to do with these items? Okay, this is my transactional processing. Now, because those two items are checked in, notice how it grays out the things that I cannot select. So I want to do a checkout on these items. So I'm going to say checkout. And now it's going to take me into the screen where I'm going to start filling in the information. Who am I giving this to? And it's going to do a lookup in the system, just as if you were logged into the web interface. So I'm going to say, that guy, I'm checking it out to him. The reason I'm doing it is for an investigation. I can put notes in here, and I'm not going to type much of anything. But I do want to go down here and say, I want to do the signature. And this is automatically going to pop up your screen in a panorama view. And so now you can literally have the person standing in front of you scribble their name as to do it. And if, oh, that's not right, I want to redo that, I just hit clear. And now I go back and there's my signature. And when I hit done, it is now going to save that signature as a part of that. And at this point in time, you could upload media. In fact, let's just say that I'm checking out these items to myself, and I'm going to do upload media. And so when I click upload media, I'm going to say enable the camera. All right, I'm going to try to pull this off. There's a nice picture of me. And so now I'm going to say, yeah, that was awful. So if you guys will just play around and pretend like that was a good picture, I'm going to upload that media. That media is now attached to that transaction. I go back to this screen, simply click the checkbox in the top right-hand corner, and those two items will now be checked out. And because they are checked out and the current status of those items are checked out, they show in yellow. And so another thing to keep in mind, this is all live transaction processing. This is not offline and synchronized later. So for any of you that have been around for a really long period of time and you used our old PDA device where you had the synchronization process, that is out the window now. You're doing this stuff in a live environment. So if I logged into the web interface right now and brought those two items up, it's going to show both of them as checked out. I'm going to see that picture of myself along with the signature. Now, those two items are checked out. I could flip right back around and perform another transaction and say I want to check them in. I can say, hey, this same guy is bringing them back, so I'm going to pick his name again. I'm going to scan a location of where I'm going to put these items at. So now, instead of scanning the items, here's my location barcode. And now I've selected the location. It's showing shelf A. I could do a signature again. I don't know that I need to do that. And actually, it looks like maybe I'm required to do a signature. So let's do that. Yep. In my case, it's required. I'm going to hit check, and those two items are now checked back in. All right. So what this is going to allow you to do is now use your mobile phone to do a lot of that transactional stuff that you do right now. The only thing I will tell you that I have seen when people are using this, it does not take the picture and convert it to a barcode quite as fast as what you're doing with a handheld scanner. It shouldn't be a large noticeable difference, but it will be a minor noticeable difference when, so I would suggest if you're trying to dispose of 1,000 items, okay, and you're trying to do it in one fell swoop, I might suggest in that scenario, I might use my desktop scanner because I'm probably going to save 10 to 15 minutes by scanning them with a handheld barcode scanner than I am with the mobile app. But I'm certainly not going to suggest that you would not use the mobile app in that scenario.
Yep. Once you do capture a signature on your phone, how's that going to play out in like a chain of custody report, for example?
To throw out, you cannot be logged into the web interface and the mobile app at the same time. It is going to throw an error if you try to do that. So I've logged out of the mobile app. I'm going to log into this interface here. And so I'm going to show you that transaction I just completed on the mobile app. I'm going to go into the user interface now. Okay, so here I am in the mobile app, and those items that I just checked out, they were part of case 2018-1027. And so I'm going to bring up that case. And the first item that I did was item number 2. In fact, it may have been both of these. In fact, it was both of these items. Check out item number 1 real quick and make sure I scan the right items here because I was flipping these packages around on my desk. There we go. Okay, so there's the checkout and the check-in that I did. And you can clearly see the first signature was a little more detailed and the second one was obviously a lot less detailed. But you can see here's where I checked it out to Towns Van Zant and the dates and the time. So again, when you perform that transaction on the mobile device, it immediately is posting into the parent app. All right, let's keep moving along. We got a lot of stuff we're going to cover here, so I'm going to log out of this, and before Rob yells at me to flip back to my mobile app, I'm going to flip back to the mobile app. We are going to log in. And now I do just want to real quickly, while we're still on this screen, I do want to point out there are other transactions in here, not just check in, check out, but here's your move, your dispose. You can even undispose of items from inside of here. So this default screen is for doing all of your transactional processing. And my guess is going to be this is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time at right on this screen. but I'm going to swipe from left to right, and there are other things that you can do inside of this mobile app. So let's go to the home screen, for example, and the next thing I want to do is I want to bring up a case that already exists. So I go to home, I'm going to type in, and it's going to start filtering all my cases just like it does on the web interface, and I'm going to open up this case right here. So now you're not in the office, you're out running around. You also have the ability not only to perform transactions on items with barcodes, but you can bring up cases and you can view. Here's the case information. I can go down at the very bottom, see the very bottom of the screen with all the items. I can now scroll through and I can see this case has 48 items in it, and I can start scrolling through all of the items in this case. We're seeing the tags on the screen here. So that's one of the main things we put on the screen were the tags and the item status. So see how you scroll through these, you can see what's going on. So now let's say, oh, item 88, I really want to see what's going on with that. I click that item, it's going to bring up all of those details of that item right there. So there's my basic info. If there's media, in fact, let me go back and try to find, I think I've got an item with some media on it. Let's go. How about media at the case level? Let's do this. So at the case level, I can go down and view media. I know this has got media. So now you can see here's all the media that's loaded inside here. So again, you're not in the office. You could be in court and you could say, oh, hey, there's the case, there's the item. I want to see all the media that's inside of here. And it'll even stream. You could play MP4 files and it's going to stream these things and play them right on your mobile device. Keep in mind down at the bottom, you can view also the people that are inside the case. And then go back to all the items, and then here's the case view. All right, so that was going to the home screen, bringing up an individual case, and then I'm going to scroll through all of these things. Let's go back here. You can also add cases and persons and items from here. So now, we're in a world now where your officers don't have to be back in the building to create all of this information or take all of these pictures. They can literally be at a scene and say, you know what, I'm going to enter a new case here. I'm going to do 2020- today is 0226. So we'll say that's my case number. And you're going to see this will mimic your UI screen when you're entering all this data. It's just doing it in a mobile format. So I'm going to say there's the case number. It's fraud. I'm going to go next. And now you can go through and you can fill in all of this data as if you were sitting in front of your screen. Now, my guess is going to be most people are just going to go to the enter item stuff inside of here. I want to go in and say I want to enter, a drug item. So they go through here, they're going to pick their drugs, and it's going to post. I mean, it's going to have all of these things on here. If you select a drug, what is the type of drug? How is it being packaged? All of these things are still going to be here on the mobile app. And so what I would suggest, what I believe is the primary reason for doing all of this entry on here is not only because it's easier to do, but it's getting you a lot closer to the actual date and time when the item is collected. So they could literally be doing this on scene and entering all of these items inside of here. Okay, now I'm not going to go through filling out all of this data on here. You guys probably get an idea. These are all of the fields that are displayed in the interface of the software. So just keep in mind, adding case, persons, and items, and even media is all a part of this. Let's go back to that. I'll tell you what. Let me just show you real quick because I think adding media is going to be another major component here. Let's go back and bring up that case 2017-0103. And when I was viewing all of this media, notice in the bottom right-hand corner, there is the ability to add more media. So I can go in and say, yes, I do want to access my camera, or I just want to select a file and pick my drive off of my phone. And so you can upload media that way also. And again, what I'm suggesting here is this just gets you a lot closer to actually the date and time this stuff is being collected, not, they've transported it back to the station and they're doing it back there.
Okay, sounds good. Where is media saved to? So if you take a picture and you upload that, where would that be saved to?
Yeah, for the 95% of our clients that are using our standard secure website, it's being stored in the cloud interface that when you log into the website, it's the same thing. So again, it's our standard cloud storage structure.
What are the timeout settings for the mobile app, or is that based on the web settings?
It's going to be the same thing. It's based on your web settings. So whatever you've got set in there is going to be the automatic timeout on the app.
Well, the question was, will the app work outside of the U.S.?
Oh, the app will work anywhere on the planet. You've got internet access and you can get to the software. Absolutely.
And another question was, is it possible to do any transactions through the app without scanning the items?
Yes. So let's go back to that. Let's go to the barcode scanner screen. And so, yes, I showed you how to click the camera button in the bottom right-hand corner and take a picture. But one button to the left of that black button with the barcode on it, that actually allows you to go in and manually input a barcode. Now, this might be good if you happen to have a Bluetooth scanner connected to this phone. You could actually scan that barcode on that screen. So, or manually type it in. The answer to that is yes.
Took a picture of took a picture, uploaded it to the mobile app, on the mobile app, saved it. And where would you go later to view that image on the website?
So it depends on what type of transaction or what you're doing. If you're in the case view, like what I was showing earlier, where I went in here and brought up case 2017-0103, and if I load pictures in there, well, then you'll just bring the case up and go to the media tab. If you did it as part of the transaction, like what I did earlier, you actually have to search for the transaction in the UI, in the parent application, the website. So go to search and then go to check in and do a search for that transaction, and it will show up underneath of that. I think we have a card in our development queue to where we want to display that on the chain of custody page. But right now that's a problem because you could upload dozens of pictures as part of that transaction, and we don't have a good way to display that in that chain of custody screen. But that is something that we're working on. So there's a couple other things I do want to show off before we run out of time because we're already at the 1:30 hour here. The next thing I want to focus on is doing your inventories. This is something that a lot of our clients do not do religiously enough. And then there are some that do these impeccably well. All right. And so if you've never run a discrepancy report, I hope when you get this mobile app, you'll sort of feel emboldened that this isn't that hard. So when I swipe from left to right, we're going to go down to discrepancy reports. Okay. So discrepancy reports is the process of scanning items in a storage location and then running a report, and it'll tell you all the problems that it found. All right. So I'm going to go to the bottom right hand corner and I'm going to start a new discrepancy report. And so I'm going to enter the name of this report and I'm going to call it shelf A because that is exactly what I'm doing an inventory on is shelf A. And so now I'm going to click scan location because I want to take a picture of the location that I'm scanning. And there it is. So it's in there. And now I'm going to start it. So I just click the start button. And at this point in time, now all I do is start scanning the barcodes of all the items that are in that storage location right now. Now it's telling me on my screen here, by the way, not only do you have shelf A, but underneath shelf A, you've got row 2, 3, and 4 in shelf X. So this is sort of your indicator, hey, this is not just as simple as just A. Now keep in mind, the only reason it's showing all those subcomponents is because I scanned a parent location. Generally, shelf A is just going to be a name, and you're going to do all the locations inside of it. But in my case, I've done that. And so what I'm going to do now is click the camera button, and we're going to start scanning all the barcodes of all the items in that storage location. So we're just going to go, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3, and you can see this is moving pretty quickly. I might suggest if there's thousands of items, you might want to do it with an actual scanner. But that quickly, I just scanned 5 barcodes. So I'm going to click done. It's going to tell me, yep, those are the 5 barcodes you scanned. I can click on this little icon over here on the right if I want to see any of these items and any details about them. But at this point in time, let's just go ahead and assume I have scanned every barcode of every item in all of those locations. And I'm going to click Run Report down at the bottom. And this thing is going to come back and tell me right on my screen right here what problems it found. And I'm telling you, it's going to find quite a few problems because number one, there are 18 items in all of those locations. I only scanned 1 location. I scanned 5 items, and there are 14 discrepancies found. And 13 of those discrepancies, as you can tell right there by the blue banner, these items were not scanned. And so you can go through here and, oh man, I don't know why these weren't scanned. The other thing you can do is right here on the screen, you can click the little note icon that's underneath every item, and you could put notes on there. Why didn't you scan this? Because as you know, well, hopefully you know, with a discrepancy report, once you run the report, you cannot manipulate the report anymore. So this allows you to go in and say, oh, hey, my bad. I just accidentally skipped this item. It was on the shelf. So you can't manipulate the report. It's already been run, but you can go in and put notes as to what was going on. And so I would highly, highly recommend that you're frequently doing these discrepancy reports, and hopefully having this mobile device is now going to give you the confidence. In fact, what I would really recommend, if you're not doing discrepancy reports, at the end of this, load the app, go in and do a discrepancy report on one location in your evidence room and just see what it produces. What do the results look like? Are you getting, are you scanning 30 items with no errors? I remember when this app first came out, we were at the Boone County Sheriff's Office, and I loaded the app. I went to a location in his evidence room that had about 40 items on it, and I said, hey, I'm going to do an inventory right here. I don't even think I asked him if I could do it. I just started scanning away, and so I was glad that he was good with it. And we scanned 40 items, and it came back and showed no discrepancies. And that's what we want to see. And so I know that there are some people on the phone here that religiously do inventory reports or these discrepancy reports. Hopefully, again, this mobile app now looks like something you can do frequently, and you can get in here and run these things. Okay, so let's, did we cover everything that this thing does? Not everything, but I think we've given you a solid overview of what you can do with this app. And again, I really hope that you'll just download this thing when it's all said and done with here today and load this thing up and see, how this works and what's going on. By the way, with that discrepancy report, it's automatically saved. At any point in time, I can go back into discrepancy reports. You can flip through your previous discrepancy reports or hit the little icon right here, and you can see what the results were of the discrepancy report. Please do discrepancy reports. You should be doing them frequently. Okay. Rob, we got just a few more minutes left. Is there any questions you want to throw out? We'll take probably 5 minutes and do some questions and answers. And like I said, for everybody, if you have to drop off, we will send out a Word document with all the questions that have been posted. We will answer and go from there.
Once again, can you pull up any case, and then
sure,
maybe pull up an item or two and show us how you can perform transactions on those items?
Well, you do have to, I want to say, you do have to scan the barcodes on them. I don't know that I can just go in here and select items and perform a transaction on them.
Okay.
I'm going to bring the items up. Yeah, there's no way to select, well, actually, no, I take that back. It looks like, and I wouldn't recommend doing this, but when you go into the individual item, yeah, that's not even what I was going to say. That the only way you can do the transactions is from that barcode scanner page by scanning the barcodes.
Okay. Yep.
And that is, just so you know, that's the 5th, 6th option down. It's the barcode scanner over on the left. That's where you perform the transactions. Now, I will tell you, from while I'm in here, item number 7, if I click on that and hit the lightning bolt, this is where I can duplicate or split those items.
And as far as adding different types of media, is that set in the web application? So if I wanted to upload like an MP3 or an MP4, for example.
Yep. That absolutely is in the parent app. So that's where you go into settings, organization. I think it's settings, organization, and there's a media types tab in there. And that's where you go in. Now, by default, we allow a lot of the most common media types. But if you're doing some weird format and it's giving you a denial error on there, then yes, you can go in and do it that way.
Excellent. Can you scan multiple barcodes and move a lot of things at one time?
Well, certainly from that barcode scanner area, when you go back here, in fact, let me select these items and hit delete. Let's select them. Now we hit delete. Yes, this will clear the list. And so, yeah, if you had 100 items you wanted to check out or dispose of, you just click the camera button down there and you scan the barcodes on all 100 items, and you can dispose of all 100 items that way. As we mentioned a moment ago, the only thing you cannot do is just bring up a case and select those items. Right now, you have to go into this barcode scanner area to select those items. Now, you know what? Hold on. Watch this. I should have said. In fact, I just realized I'm wrong about that. At the bottom of this screen that I'm on right now, see these tabs down here? If I go to the location barcode and say I want to scan a location barcode, watch what this does. Now, when I scan that location barcode, it's going to bring up, look at that, every item that's in that storage location. So I could do a transaction on all these items at once. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. The item is when you're scanning an individual item. The location button down at the bottom is when you're scanning a location and you want to bring up every item in that location. And then from this screen, now I can perform a transaction on every item on my screen.
And can you go over how the app uses licenses? So can you be logged into the app as well as the web at the same time?
Nope, and we mentioned that just a little bit ago. You cannot log into both at the same time. In fact, it will throw an error on your screen if you're logged into one. In fact, if you try to log into the app and you're logged into the web interface, it'll log you out of the web interface so that you can log into the mobile app. So you can only be logged in at one at a time. And just like the web app, anybody that's logging in, regardless of what they're doing, they're going to have an available license to log in. So this is, I will tell you, as I have told everybody that I've ever sold this product to, we do not sell features to our application. You're not going to pay anything to use this mobile app, but it is our goal every day to give you more reason to have more people logging in, because my hope is you look at this and you're like, wow, that is absolutely fantastic. I want my officers in the field entering evidence. I hope that incentivizes higher usages of logins to where you have to call us back and say, I need another license now because we're using more stuff. And so again, that's the only time we ever make more money. I've never made any bones about that. That's how we make more money, is giving you more reason to have more people logging in. So it does require a license. Again, a concurrent license, not an individual user license. It's a concurrent license.
How soon after something's been changed or like uploaded, for example, in the mobile app, will that be reflected on the website?
Yeah, it'll be immediate, because again, there is no offline transactional processing. The minute you do something, it's immediately live. And that's not even a good, it's just, you're just doing it with live data. So it's basically immediately available.
Another thing that came in is if you scan a location, it would be nice to be able to, when all those barcodes show up from those different items, it'd be nice to be able to select maybe 3 or 4 items. If 10 items come up, it might be nice to be able to select 2 or 3 items and then perform a transaction on those selected items.
You can do that. So on the top right-hand corner of my screen, I'm going to click the double check. It ungrays them. I can say this item, and this item are the ones I'm going to perform a transaction on. So you can already do that. Just that double check up at the top simply selects everything or unselects everything, and then you can pick what you want to do from there.
How do you kick users off of the mobile app if they are just forget to log out?
You don't. That's it. So in the safe, one of the big differences between Fluid and Safe, in Fluid you could drop a user at any time. In Safe, you cannot drop a user. So those timeout settings are really important.
What if you're scanning Fluid barcodes?
Not a problem at all. It's gonna, so on this page, when you click your camera button, you just scan away at the Fluid barcodes or any legacy barcode. It doesn't matter. If it's a barcode that is recognized in the web interface, it'll be recognized on the mobile app.
Yeah, Ben, Ron Jorvad.
Yes, Ron.
Just a quick answer, or maybe an answer to the previous question. I was logged in on the mobile app, and then I went to the desktop and logged in, and it gives you the opportunity to log out of the mobile part. So
yeah, it should do that, it should do that. But if you're already in the application, it may start throwing errors or weird things if you log in on the other system in the background. So yeah, that's altogether possible.
Let's see here. Kurt is asking, when an officer on the street adds an evidence item, where is that going to be? Is that assigned to a storage location? How does that work?
Yeah, so when you go to the item entry screen, in fact, here, See, now somebody's messing. Now look at that. Session expired. So somebody on my dev team is messing around with that, and I got booted on that. So, and that's all right. But when I go to the item entry screen, just like on the web interface, you're going to have an area where you pick a storage location, and you're going to start typing in the exact same thing you would type in if you were sitting in front of the computer, and it's going to give you the exact same options as if you were right in front of the computer. So if you tell them to type in the word temp, then it's going to bring up your temporary lockers. There is the option to scan the barcode, but they're probably not going to be in front of a locker to scan it, so that won't matter too much. But this thing should work exactly like the web interface.
Are tasks built out in this yet? And if not, when will they be?
Yeah, tasks are not, but I will tell you that's one of my big things I want to see in here is tasking, because I want users to be able. Now, again, I will tell you, when tasking does become available, it's really going to incentivize more people logging in more concurrently, because now we'll have it to where it'll pop a task up on your phone and it'll say, hey, you've been assigned a task. It may even pop up on your screen when you're not logged in to say, hey, there's tasking available. But I will say that is one of the things I want to see getting on there, because that is really important. One thing I didn't cover was searching a case over here on the left. We're working on some of the other elements for searching other things also, but right now we have searching a case in here, and more are going to be coming along.